Now it's time for the part of the show where me and Liam review things that we have done, seen, played, read, experienced, but spoiler-free.
I don't like that. I much prefer now it's time for the part of the show where Liam went to cinema and here's his spoiler-free review of the thing that he saw at the cinema. It just rings, it rolls off the tongue so much better.
I think what I said rolled off the tongue.
I don't think it did.
It was smooth. I think everyone thought it was smooth.
No. First thing we've both seen is Avengers Endgame.
Yeah. No spoilers, obviously.
Obviously, no spoilers. This, like I said in the beginning bit there, spoiler-free review. So no spoilers. You kind of have to see Infinity War before you see this.
Yep, 100% would recommend seeing Infinity... I mean, to be honest, I'd recommend seeing most of the Marvel stuff before seeing this. But you need to see Infinity War.
Yeah, I think you'd struggle. I enjoyed it. I think what I can say without doing spoilers is typically when you have a two-parter type thing. So, like this, or like the last Harry Potter book got split into two films.
Yep.
Or let me think of any other examples that would work well.
Is it the same?
Yeah. Similar-ish.
Is it?
Ish.
Because this wasn't split into two films.
No,
it was always two parts.
Yeah, but so Harry Potter, they didn't film as one and then split it. They filmed it as two different films.
No, I know, but that was them splitting a story in half.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is...
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if it's...
Because they shot this all, back to back and everything.
Yeah, but it was... Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, when you have, a two-parter ththing like that...
Yeah.
Oh, the other example I was thinking of was Star Wars, with Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, right? Where...
Okay, yeah.
You have, a one story being told in two parts like that. I always find the first part way more interesting, because typically... you can be a bit more surprising with how you end it. You can end things quite bleak and down and dark. And then I find that for some reason I didn't know that Endgame was coming, so I wasn't prepared for Infinity War to be the first of a two-parter thing. So when it ended,
right. I remember you being like, no, I think it's totally separate.
Yeah. So when it ended like that, I was really surprised and shocked and was like, oh, that's amazing. But I think with films like Endgame and Return of the Jedi and the last Harry Potter film, there is always an idea of how things are going to pan out. You might not know exactly the details, but roughly things might get fixed or people will be happy. So I always think that the second half has a much harder job to do than the first half. I think it's a lot easier in a film to set up a bad thing happening than it is to resolve that bad thing happening.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, because the first film is I don't have an end goal of everything's got to get resolved.
Exactly.
The first part can be and we leave it in tatters.
Yeah,
and what's going to happen?
Just carnage, and you can just go home and figure it out. And whereas anytime you end something, there always has to be an element of closure. And I know some people find that really satisfying. I don't. I much prefer films and stuff to be open-ended.
I imagine that's coming from someone that's never watched... Imagine if they only did Infinity War. There is no way you'd be sitting here going, you know what?
Yeah.
Bold. You'd be like, what?
Yeah.
Fuck that.
It's because, you think so many films end with closure. Films that more films than not will have one story and they're like, right, and now we wrap that up in a nice little bow and that's done.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I'm just I get it. It's what you expect. So... this, for me, wasn't as good as Infinity War, but it was still a satisfying conclusion. Yeah. That is basically what I'm getting at.
Fair enough.
Cast are all good. I thought... Again, this isn't spoilers. It's basically... This film is 3 hours long, and it's sort of split into 3 parts. The first hour was my favourite part, and then the second hour I thought was a bit convoluted, and it was okay, but yeah. And then the third hour was all right. It was fun.
Yeah, Liam got all in a muddle. It was one of those films that you had to think a little bit, and Liam don't do that.
No, and I think when we were talking about it afterwards, there were definitely some points I was making that weren't terrible points.
No, you definitely were making some good points.
But I can't remember what they are now.
No.
It was a while ago. But yeah, the first hour I thought was really bold. Again, it wasn't what I was expecting.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was satisfying. I'd give it 4 out of 5.
Yeah, probably agree on the 4 out of 5.
Yeah. Any other?
I'm excited to see where the next arc goes.
I mean, there's like we were discussing earlier, there's some potential directions it could go in that are exciting. So we shall see.
Mm-hmm.